Welcome to the Explainer. You know, we're always trying to make neural networks smarter and faster, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the cleverest tricks in the book for doing just that. It's called pooling.
So how does an AI actually see an image? I mean, when you and I look at a picture, we see stuff. Objects, shapes, colors. But a neural network? It sees a totally different world. To a CNN, an image is just a massive grid of numbers. And trying to make sense of that mountain of data? Yeah, that's where the problems begin.
Okay, so we've got two big hurdles here. First, there's the sheer computational power needed. Imagine doing complex math for every single pixel. It's incredibly slow and resource-heavy. Then there's this other sneaky problem called overfitting. The analogy here is perfect. It's like a student who memorizes the textbook, typos and all. They can spit back answers they've seen, but ask them a new question, they're lost. They haven't actually learned anything. They just memorized.
So, in this explainer, we're going to look at the really elegant solution to both of these problems. We'll start with why we even need to summarize in the first place, then we'll get into what a pooling layer actually is. After that, we'll compare the big three, max, average, and global pooling. We'll look at the pros and cons, and then, of course, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways you need to know.
All right, let's dive right in. Why do we even need to summarize all this data? Why can't the AI just look at everything?
Well, imagine trying to describe a photo by listing the color of every single pixel. It's insane, right? You'd be there forever, and you'd completely miss the point. That's what a network does without summarization. It gets lost in the noise. But with summarization, it's like we're teaching it to see the bigger picture, to focus on what actually matters, the most important features. This makes it way faster and way better at generalizing what it learns.
Okay, so that's the why. But what about the how? How do we actually get the network to focus on the important stuff? This is where a really cool concept called the pooling layer comes into play.
So, what is a pooling layer? In a nutshell, its job is to shrink that giant grid of numbers. It's a process called downsampling. It's a bit of a fancy term, but all it really means is that the layer gets to decide what's essential information and what it can afford to throw away.
And the way it works is actually pretty simple. You start with something called a feature map. That's what comes out of a convolutional layer. Think of it as a map that highlights interesting things like edges or textures. The pooling layer then takes a little window, a filter, and slides it across that map. For each little patch it looks at, it summarizes all the information down into just one single number. And boom, you get a brand new feature map that's much, much smaller.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Summarizing isn't just one thing. There are different ways to do it, and the method you choose really matters. Let's look at the three main flavors of pooling. First up, we've got max pooling. This one is probably the most popular of the bunch. Its entire goal is to find the absolute strongest signal in a little area and make sure that signal gets passed on. So look at this example. We have a 2x2 window sliding across. In that top left corner, it sees the numbers 1, 3, 5, and 6. What's the biggest? 6. So 6 is the new value. Move over to the top right. The biggest number there is 9, and so on. You see? We're just grabbing the peak value, the strongest signal from each little neighborhood.
The whole idea here is to hold on to the most prominent features. So if the network has detected a really sharp edge or a bright spot, max pooling makes sure that information doesn't get lost. It's all about preserving that strongest signal.
Okay, but what if you don't care about the single sharpest feature? What if you want more of a general vibe for an area? Well, for that, there's average pooling. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of grabbing the max value, this time we're going to calculate the average. So for that same top left patch, 1, 3, 5, and 6, we add them up and divide by 4. We get 3.75. You can see how this gives you a much smoother, more generalized idea of what's going on in that patch, instead of just focusing on the one most extreme value.
And that brings us to our third type, global pooling. This one basically takes the whole idea of summarization and turns it up to 11. Forget about a little sliding window. Global pooling looks at the entire feature map, the whole thing, and crushes it down into one single number. You can do global max pooling, which just finds the single biggest number in the entire grid. Here, that's a 9. Or you can do global average pooling, which averages every single number on the map. It's a really drastic move, but it's super useful right before the network has to make its final decision.
So, let's just quickly put these side by side. Think of it like a toolkit. You've got max pooling when you need to preserve those sharp, high-contrast features. You've got average pooling when you want a smoother, more general summary. And you've got global pooling for that final, aggressive summarization right at the end. Each one has a very specific job to do.
Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But you knew there was a but coming. Nothing in this world is free, so let's talk about the trade-offs.
On the plus side, the advantages are huge. You're massively reducing the amount of data the network has to chew on, so it's faster and cheaper to run. It helps prevent that nasty overfitting problem we talked about, and you get this really cool benefit called translation invariance. All that means is the network doesn't care where a feature is. If it learns to spot a cat's ear, it can spot that ear whether it's in the top left or the bottom right of the image. It's looking for the feature itself, not its specific address.
But here's the catch. Every single time you pull, you are throwing away information. There's just no way around it. It's like shrinking a high-res photo down to a tiny thumbnail. Yeah, you can still see the main subject, but all those fine-grained details, they're gone. And sometimes those details are actually really important. On top of that, you have to carefully tune things like the size of your pooling window to get it just right, which can be tricky.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's boil it all down. What are the key things you absolutely need to remember? Okay, 3 main takeaways for you. Number 1, pooling's main job is to shrink stuff down. It makes networks faster, more efficient, and helps them avoid just memorizing things. Number 2, the type of pooling you pick is a big deal. Max pooling is for finding the sharpest features, while average pooling gives you a smoother overview. And number 3, it's always a trade-off. You're giving up some detail to gain efficiency and generalization. Always.
And that really leaves us with a pretty profound question, one that goes way beyond just AI. In this quest for intelligence, how much detail do we have to lose to actually gain understanding? To see the forest, you have to stop looking at every single leaf. It kind of makes you think that maybe true understanding isn't about remembering everything, but knowing what's okay to forget. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.